Hello everyone, this is N-GameArts, which is a continuation of my collection of 700 plus PlayStation 4 games. This is part 10. If you haven't seen the other parts, I will provide a link in the description and at the end of the video of the playlist of every video I've done so far of my 700 plus PlayStation 4 games. This is probably the last more video. We got one more video after doing this one, which might end up being a little bit longer video, because I got not only a few more games to cover in standard cases, but I got a lot of big box games, and I'm going to try to put it all in one video if possible, so that way it's not just going to be some small videos to split between two, make it one big video. But anyway, don't want to make this video too long for you guys. I'm sure you guys are finally wanting this to finally end. Moving on, we got next one. We got Super Robot Wars OG, the Moon Dwellers. I think this was the first Super Robot Wars I've ever picked up on PlayStation 4. Again, this from my understanding is as I was talking about, a collection of the standalone characters, because like every Super Robot Wars, the character you play as is like a new original character from all the Super Robot Wars. Whereas some of these are like this one here includes all those original characters, so that's why it's called OG, and all those characters are combined into one game. Now, whether it's good, I don't know. I haven't really. I did mess around with this one. It does seem interesting in terms of the tactical base aspects of it, but I don't got much information. Again, it's just collectible. It's only playable. It's only available in Play Asia if you want to play a physical copy, or not Play Asia, but an Asia import. Moving on, this is a limited run physical copy. Is Sundered, is Edric edition. I think it's a Metroidvania if I recall. I remember messing around with it. It seems simplistic. I don't really have much of an opinion of it because I haven't really played it. Don't know much about it. Am I the only one who hates this when they have like a back of the case and there's nothing on the back of it? Come on, we can put something back there. It can't be that hard. Alright, moving on. We got Street Fighter V Champion Edition. At the time I making this video, I do believe this is the most complete updated version physically on disc. Now, this does not come with any DLC or anything like that on disc, but it is the best version if you want the best physical copy in terms of updates, because when this game first came out, it didn't even have, like, I think, a campaign mode or a single player mode. It didn't even have, like, boss rushes or anything like that, or survival mode or anything like that. When it first came out, Street Fighter V, it was a joke in terms of what was available physically on disc. You pretty much had to download everything. They clearly just released an alpha version of the game. Well, this is the best version you can get, but again, it's still insanely disappointing. The DLC characters, no cosmetic outfits, nothing's on the disc. And what's more aggravating, when you play it, you actually can fight against the DLC characters, but you can't play the DLC characters. In the end, this is when Capcom is being Capcom, but I have it. Moving on, we got Trails to Azure. It's a Trails game. I've only played a few of them. I haven't played this one. I believe I bought this one used because it's starting to get kind of expensive as getting a physical copy. So I saw it. I wanted to pick it up while it was still available to get a nice new condition looking copy. Trails games are interesting. I just wish I could dedicate more time to it. I do like how this one's like a little bit more smaller sprites, not the big models and stuff like that. I don't know. It just reminds me of PlayStation 1 graphic style, so it always intrigues me. So I've been wanting to play at it at some point. Moving on, we got Thomas Was Alone, which is, again, nothing on the back. But Thomas Was Alone is a neat little indie game in terms of its story narrative, because it's like a good narration and stuff. It's just one of those games that makes me just more acknowledge the fact of how much I don't care about graphics, because all you do is you place little bitty squares and rectangles and stuff like that, and all of them have their own narration that gives them character and personality. It's a very good game. I really recommend it. It's a very, as I talk about those casual, cozy, relax, enjoy the experience kind of game. This is right up there. This is probably my first one I ever played of that style. And it definitely left a good impression on me. Very, very good game. I almost covered it again on PlayStation 5. I started picking it up and playing it, and I just kind of stopped playing it. Not that I wasn't fun, I just think something else came up. Eternights, this is like an RPG visual novel. There's a PS5 version. I don't know exactly what is significantly different between the PS5 and PS4 version, but I got this pretty cheap, like $18 or something like that, $17. I just picked it up. Why not? Another like neat little anime visual novel style S game may become a collectible. I don't know. but I picked it up. All I know is, again, it's a visual novel. You pick it, you can have a relationship with one of the girls or the guy if you prefer, and then it's got a mixture of RPG element into it. Next one, we have Sword of the Vagrant. It's like a Metrovania hack and slash style game. I have heard mixed things about the game, but I picked it up. This is a limit run physical copy. There is some PAL version or an Asian version, can't quite remember, but this does come with include of some updates and stuff like that on disc. Now, I don't know if the Power Asia version has those updates or if it's the most updated, like maybe this one is. I'm not sure, but I've heard mixed things about it, but wouldn't mess with it. I think it's a Metrovania, so why not? Now, here's actually a pretty good game. The Persistence. Now, this is the PlayStation 4 VR compatible version. This is more up-to-date than the comparative one. There's several copies. There's the Persistence, PlayStation VR, like, only or whatever, or required. And then they released another physical copy called PlayStation VR compatible. This is more up-to-date, and you do not need VR mode to play it. It is a roguelike survival horror game. I covered the Switch version, which was actually pretty good. It was a good FPS style game on the Switch. I picked up the PS4 version. This is the best version you want to get in terms of PlayStation 4. And I have the PS5 version as well. I actually really like this game. It's a very unique and interesting game. Sony did buy the studio, Fire Sprite. That Sony did buy the studio who made this. There's like a big company and everything like that. So it's very interesting that you have this game here and Sony now owns that studio. This is a very good game if you like roguelikes or survival horror kind of stuff, FPSs. It actually is a fairly good game. It's surprisingly good. And check out the Switch version if you only play on Switch. Next one, we have the Callisto Protocol. I have yet to play it. I've heard that the physical disc is insanely buggy. Bought this used. I don't know. I don't have much of an opinion about it. I haven't played it. I just heard it was insanely broken from the PS5 version. I haven't heard much opinions about the PS4 version being played on PS5. But it could work better. I don't know. But I've heard mixed things about it. A lot of people said it didn't live up to expectations. And I heard the studio's head left the studio after making this one game. Because it just... I don't know, it's one of those examples of focusing on graphics than what actually matters is the video game. From what I heard the graphics are amazing in the game. But, again, I don't have an opinion. I've been wanting to play it, but I don't know. I just keep forgetting about it, and I just keep putting it off. Moving on, we got Immortals Phoenix Rising. This is a Ubisoft open world style game, which has a mixture of an inspiration of Breath of the Wild and stuff like that into it. Now, I bought this used. I bought this like GameStop a physical copy. I got it like really cheap there on a Black Friday sale. I know they sent me like a really beat up physical copy. You can even see at the bottom right here how it's all like torn up. I wasn't too happy about that because when I bought it, it said new and they sent me a used copy. But I've eventually learned my lesson on that. But anyway, I have it. I bought a new physical copy or a casing for it, so to make it look nice. I've heard many good things about it. I don't know how well it runs just on the base vanilla version of the game. Now, we got Mortal Kombat XL. This is It comes with like, all the DLC and updates, or most of it. Everything's on the disc, which is really cool. This is one of those dying games. I think this one and like some of the Injustice ones are the last NetherRealms games where it didn't have severely live service online requirement unlocking everything by those microtransactions and stuff like that. This is one of the last ones available of that, which is insanely disappointing. I'm not big in fighting games, but I do have it. I'm happy to have it, and I'm happy to have this version because who knows, this eventually could become insanely sought after because, as I said, all the other ones require some live service, maybe some internet requirements, or massively needing internet to even do most of anything or unlocking anything. So must pick up if you're an offline physical collector such as myself. Now, moving on, we have Monster Sanctuary. This is a limit run physical copy. It is a Metrovania Pokemon style game. I actually messed around with it a little bit. It does seem really interesting. I just need to dedicate more time to it. Sadly, though, this is more updated. It's pretty updated, but I do think there was another DLC that recently got released that's not on the disc. But in the end, I've been wanting to mess around with it. I keep forgetting about it, and I keep putting it off. Looks interesting, though. Moving on, we got Monster Hunter World Iceborne Master Edition. This comes with the expansion, which is what is it called? The Iceborne? I guess the Iceborne expansion. I'm not entirely sure. I really like the Monster Hunter games. They're games that they're meant to be played online, but you can fully play this game completely offline with an unregistered account. The Iceborne content is on disc. I just could never beat the last boss in this game by myself. I don't know what it is. I did everything I could. I just could not beat him. But he is beatable. I know my brother beat him, and he was starting playing the Iceborne content. So just keep that in mind. Before you can even play the Iceborne content, you got to beat the main game and be at a certain level before the Iceborne expansion DLC unlocks for you on disc. But in the end, happy to have it. Who knows, the next Monster Hunter may become a whole live service, always online kind of stuff, and completely losing the point. If you don't know, I don't mean to stay on this for too long, but Monster Hunter was the push from Capcom to start including some online ideas. That's where we got like Resident Evil Outbreak, Monster Hunter, there was a racing game, and there was one other game that I can't remember what it was. And Monster Hunter was the last one to be able to stay around. Now, while they all focused online, they all made sure that it was a priority to actually still work single-player wise. So if this leaves the single-player aspect in the next game, making it all like an online live service, multiplayer required, that would abandon the entire point of what Monster Hunter was meant to be, was an online single-player experience where you could play the entire game single-player, but you can play it all on multiplayer as well. Moving on. We got Mother's Gunship. This physical copy isn't the greatest. Last time I played it, the game kept bugging and having some weird audio and issues and HUD problems and stuff like that. So it looks interesting. I like how it's like a first-person just unloading gun mayhem idea, but sadly the physical copy is not in the best greatest of condition, from what I can remember. Here's the downfall of NetherRealms, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate Edition. This does at least include all the DLC and updates on disc. Do keep in mind, there are probably more DLC and updates that I'm not thinking of, but the PS4 version is the superior version of this game. Why I say that is if you buy the PS5 version, the content, DLC stuff, and everything like that is not on the disc. You have to update the game first before you can get the online, the DLC and all this other stuff, if I recall. So if you want the best version, you want to get the PS4 version, because not only that, I believe this has a free update. If not, there is a paid update to unlock the PS5 upgrade. So you might as well buy the PS4, have the content on disc, and just pay for that a little bonus to upgrade it to the PS5. But the point is, this is the downfall, because this is where they started to include a bunch of online requirement to unlock fatalities, unlocking costumes and outfits. This, again, it was the downfall where they started turning Mortal Kombat into a live service. Disappointing, but you can still have fun with this, because like I said, it has all the content on disc, so you can still play 2 players and play the campaign mode and stuff like that offline with an unregistered account, but it is still disappointing. Moving on, we got Metro Redux, which comes with 2 games, Metro 2033 and Metro Last Light. Again, these are 2 games on 1 disc, as well as that this does include like the updates and expansions that got released prior. So, definitely really good. Again, they're like a survival horror, semi-survival horror style game, so highly recommend it if you're into that kind of genre. They're wonderful, they're graphically impressive, and they're fun to play. Really glad to have them. Moving on, we got Mutant Football League Dynasty Edition. This does include all current release DLC and updates, or from my memory, there could be something small that is not available. But it is a football-style game. I remember playing the Super Nintendo version of this back in the day when you had a cartridge and you played this, and this got like football teams and stuff like that. There are monsters, and the football field is doing stuff that will try to kill you and stuff. It's interesting. I usually actually try to pick these kinds of games up just to say a big old FU to NFL about them wanting to abuse and take advantage of the football community in terms of their games. So I usually go out of my way to buy other off-brand, off-company football games, or sometimes baseball games, just to say, dang, I'm not supporting your awful business practice. I'm not a sports person. I do like baseball. I have played baseball in real life. But I'm not really into the video game wise, but I'll definitely pick up any game to say a big FU to the EA and NFL games. Moving on, we got Mercenary Kings Reloaded Edition. It's okay. It's a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up style game. It's alright. It's got its upsides and downsides to it. I'm glad I have it. I mean, it's enjoyable. Don't have much of an opinion. It is a limited run release. We have Minute, which is a special reserve physical copy. It's like you every time you start it up, you have like a minute, and before the game ends, and you have to restart the entire game. It's something like, I think it's something along the lines like Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, where you got to try to do stuff within that minute, and then the time resets, and you got to try to do stuff within the next minute. Time resets, if I recall. I don't know if it was really for me, because I'm not a big fan of time being timed, but I'm glad I have it. I think that's actually my first special reserve game I ever bought, too. Moving on, we got Minecraft Dungeons Ultimate Edition. This does include, I know there's been other DLCs that come out, but this does include a mass majority of the DLCs on disc. Again, it's like a Diablo-style game. It's Minecraft-themed. I don't know. Don't got much of an opinion. I mostly picked this up for my nieces, which they have like the vanilla version or the first release version. They didn't seem to like it very much, because maybe it's not like Minecraft. Not entirely sure. And I've heard that it's an okay game, but it's a bit on the boring side. But I have no opinion. Haven't really sat down and played it. Not really a big Minecraft person, if mind you. But anyway, glad to have it. Again, I'm happy at least they had the DLC and updates on the disc, or the majority of it. Now, Evil Within 2. Now, in my personal opinion, I actually think this is better than the first one, which is very surprising because they started introducing a bit of an open world style aspect to a game, but they did it actually fairly well. I really did enjoy it. I like the settings and themes and ideas. There are certain moments that I'm not a big fan of, and I don't want to go into it because it's a bit of a spoiler aspect, but I do believe they did a better job here than they did with the first one. It's a neat game. Just again, it's got the problems with the story and the characters, but the overall idea, I did enjoy it. Now, I wanted to cover these two at the same time. We have Minecraft and Minecraft VR mode included. Why I wanted to include both of these at the same time is that while most of it looks the same in terms of what it is, the covering of the disc and everything like that, they are different on their versions on disc. And why I still kept both of them is that PlayStation VR mode included is more up-to-date than this version here, but why you might want to hold off in terms of hunting down this one, if I recall, there is two versions of Minecraft. There is the Bedrock Edition and I guess the Java Edition. I'm not entirely sure. I know I'm not a Minecraft person, but this one has the newest version only available on disc. So if you're not a fan of, which I think is the Bedrock, I don't know. I really don't know which one is the version people are not a big fan of. But whatever the first version was, this one is it. This one has it on disc. So if you like the original OG Minecraft in terms of before they changed the entire engine, look for this one. Because this one does not have that changeover on disc. This one does. So it is more up to date. As well, keep in mind, it's not closed up. While they both offer the same amount of content, this one is a little bit more live service than this one. Why is that when you pop this one in, you have all the DLC that was promised, like Little Big Planet, Mass Effect, and then like Toy Story. All that content is available to be played completely offline with an unregistered account. If you play with the VR version offline with an unregistered account, you will not be able to access that content. The Toy Story, Little Big Planet, Mass Effect theme, changing art, you will not be able to access that content unless you were online with a registered account. So just keeping that in mind, I wanted to provide both that information for you. It's up to you what you want to hunt for. Maybe both are worth it in terms of your Minecraft enjoyment, but I thought it was interesting that one is the original engine, this is the original engine, and this is the new updated engine. Whatever your preferences are, it's up to you. I don't play Minecraft. I don't have a preference or opinion on the matter, but I wanted to provide that information for you. And I've been wanting to cover it to provide a whole dedicated videos explaining this, but I wanted to have both games available so you can look at them. Again, VR is the most updated in the new engine. Without the VR banner means it's the original version and is a little bit more offline friendly. Moving on. We have Trails of Cold Steel 3. I've yet to play any of the Cold Steel Trails of Cold Steel games other than the first one and I somewhat the second one. I do have the PS5 version of this game now, so I might play that one at some point. But I haven't played it. Again, I love it. It's a big trilogy. I wonder if this is going to ever become insanely expensive and rare, much like the Xenosaga and the Hack series that is on PlayStation 2. Doubtful, but it is interesting, and I've been trying to make sure I had every single one of them available physically. Again, we're moving on to another one, The Legend of Nyota Boundless Trails. This is like a standalone story. This doesn't have anything to do with like the Trails game, but it's within the same product line, I guess you could say, or maybe in the same universe. Not entirely sure, but I wanted to pick it up in case it gets really expensive and rare down the road. Looks interesting, but I haven't played it. Moving on, we got Super Bomberman R. This is the first one. I haven't played anything. I heard a lot of people complain about it, but I don't have an opinion. I do know, I believe the Ratchet & Clank exclusive content is on disc. Was there a redeem code? I don't know. The Shiny Edition? Maybe not. Maybe that content isn't on the disc. Not entirely sure. Haven't messed around with it, which is odd because I love Bomberman. I've got them all, but not all of them. But I got the first and second one for PlayStation 4. But in the end, happy to have it on my shelf. Moving on, Tomb Raider, the Definitive Edition. I won't lie, this is what made me stop more realize how bad Uncharted was. When I played this game, I'm not necessarily a big Tomb Raider fan, but the amount of better quality design in this game there is in this than Uncharted. Maybe I do admit, maybe my dislike from Uncharted is just because it is that linear experience, which is not true because I don't mind linear games. But why I probably like Tomb Raider a bit more is because it is a bit of a Metroidvania, but it's a little bit more explorational, so it's a little bit more free flowing. And the characters and stuff and like that, I still enjoyed the game. I'm not a big fan of the Tomb Raider series, and I'm not a big fan of Uncharted. I'm not even a fan of the Indiana Jones movies. I don't like any of them. But maybe I'm just not really into that archaeologist kind of theme stuff. But in the end, this is still an amazingly reboot of Tomb Raider. They did an amazingly good job. I've been waiting to see if they'll get a sequel at some point, or they'll finally actually start doing the actual video game instead of doing prequels. But anyway, this is a must pick up to get on your shelf. It does include all the DLC and updates, or at least most of it on disc. Well worth the pickup. Moving on, we got Sudden Strike Complete Edition. This is like a military operation game where it's like a RTS. I enjoy these kinds of games. This does include all the DLC and stuff like that on disc, which is very surprising because this company, Caplesso, is notoriously of constantly releasing vanilla versions of their complete editions or definitive editions. So I was really surprised to see this complete, which I'm really happy because I love RTSs. If you're a big fan of those kinds of games, maybe check this out because it is all on disc. A recently new pickup, Infinite Factory, which is like an FPS Portal-esque. I'm not saying this is Portal, but I'm saying it's like Portal-esque, where it's FPS, you're placing blocks and solving solve puzzles. It looks really, really good. I messed with it around a little bit. Honestly, this may be the first game I'll cover on my channel when I get back to the video games. So I was messing around with it quite heavily. It looked really, really good. So look for this in the future because it looked really, really good. You can get it pretty cheap right now, last I've seen it. Ultra Age, this is the limited run version. There is a Asia or PAL version available. I don't know if that one's a little bit more outdated than this physical copy. It took forever for this to come in from limited run. I ordered this like a year ago, along with a few other games about to come up. But it looks like a hack and slash style game. Looks interesting. I just picked it up. I maybe a FOMO buy, but I don't think so. I don't mind hack and slashes, and it looked interesting, so I picked it up and put it on my shelf. Moving on, we got Minoria. Again, this took almost a year for it to come in. I have the original game. Have I covered that one? Minoria. But this is like a sequel or the successor or a continuation. It's got a 3D, 2D style looking game. Looked good, but when I was playing it, it seemed very bare bones for a Metroidvania. In the end, I hope to play it at some point. Looks interesting. Again, this is another game that took over a year for it to finally come in from Limited Run, which is One Shot Rogue Machine Edition. I have actually saw a Let's Play of this. It's been a long time, but I think it was like Markiplier or Jacksepticeye. I can't remember. It was a long time ago that I watched a whole Let's Play of it. I think it was Markiplier. But it looked interesting. I liked the idea of it, though I was a little disappointed. I'm not going to go into it because it's a bit of a spoilers. I know what happens at certain points, and it's not my favorite in terms of storytelling. But in the end, I thought it looked cool, and I wanted to add it to my shelf. I like those weird games. Now, here's a game that has my attention right now. It's Wargrove. This is like a heavily inspired Advanced War style game. You can completely create your own campaigns and levels and stuff. I played a good portion of the single player. Right up my alley. I love these strategy turn-based style games. There is a sequel, but sadly I don't think it's right now available on PlayStation 4 or PS5. There is a Switch version. There is currently right now, I saw in Japan, where you can order the Switch version of this, which comes with the first game and the second game, presumably on one cartridge. Been wanting to plan to order that one because I'm sure the second one's going to be the base vanilla version of the game, but if it comes with the first game and that's updated on cartridge, then I'll be happy to have it. Again, this is a good game to pick up if you're a big fan of like Advanced Wars and stuff like that, strategy turn-based. And I built some levels and me and my brother played it, and we both really, really enjoyed it. So in the end, I'm really happy to have this on my shelf. Zero Strain. This is like a shoot 'em up style game. This is from the Easton Soft, which is another like a version of Limited Run. As you can see, it says only 2,000 copies ever been made. I picked it up. Looked interesting. If I pick up a shoot 'em up style game, it's got to have some interesting graphic styles or presentation to get my attention. I haven't messed around with it. I have messed around with it. I did notice one thing was that the HUD is so big on the screen. The only thing I could think of is this was like a mobile game, and they made the HUD bigger so you could see everything because you're going to be playing on a small phone. But I'm not sure. In the end, I'm happy to have it because it seemed interesting. Now here's a game I know it's getting quite rare, and that is The Messenger, which was only available at Special Reserve Games. I luckily got this physical copy when I did, because if last I looked, it's actually starting to get up there up in price. Again, I hate this whole plain back cover. Now, there is a problem with this physical copy. This does include the expansion DLC stuff, and it is on disc, but it doesn't show it working. If I recall, there was no updates. At least I can't remember. And it's just there was something wrong with the printing or something like that, where it just doesn't allow you to access the actual DLC content. Not that big of a deal. The main base game is a very good Metroidvania style mixture with a side-scrolling hack and slash. If you're a big fan of the original like Ninja Gaiden games, the old NES ones, this is definitely worth looking into. It's actually fairly good. Get some good soundtrack too. We got Shadow of War, the Definitive Edition. This is like a heavily inspired like Assassin's Creed game, but within the Lord of the Rings universe. Now this is the PAL version. Now, interesting enough, at the time I covered this was the only way you were able to get 2 discs on one box. If you bought the American version back in the day, you would have got 1 disc with the redeem code, and the disc was just a base vanilla version of the game, and you had to download everything. But if you bought this includes all the DLC, as well as I do believe it comes with the update that removes the microtransaction and loot boxes in the game. So, or at least it fixes a lot of it. And that's all on disc. But I've had people send me pictures where they got the American version and it didn't have a redeem code, but it had 2 discs and it had the American version labels on the disc. So maybe they eventually saw that nobody was buying the American version but buying the PAL version, and then they started fixing that and printing out the double disc version for the American region. But the damage was already done. Most everyone was like, okay, I'm not buying the American version, I'm going to buy the PAL version. And again, that shows you the power you can have if you really want the Definitive Edition, you want that content on disc, show the developers, buy these versions of games. I mean, I don't want you to go spend all your money and if you only have so much money to buy video games and this is not a game you're not interested in, then yeah, don't buy it. But if you are, like me, you're an offline, physical copy, on-disc content collector, buying these games and letting them know that this is what you want, and do not buy the vanilla versions. Do not buy these reprint versions. They're just taking money from you. and you're supporting a bad business practice. So again, you can stop these companies from doing awful business practices if you just stop giving them money. At the end of the day, the only way you can make corporations stop being evil is you got to affect the bottom line. And that's the only way. They will not listen to reason. They will not listen to common sense. And they don't care. As long as you keep giving them money, you're enabling them. So I don't want to get on a whole preach to you about the whole subject, but I just want to let you know that you can stop the tide. Moving on, we got the first one, which is Shadow of Mordor, Game of the Year Edition. This does include the content on disc, which is really, really good. I have yet to really sit down and play any of these. It's heavily inspired by Assassin's Creed. And again, I'm glad to have the physical copy. I'm glad to have both the first and second one with all the updates on disc. Disappointingly, WB copyrighted their system in this, which I don't believe shouldn't be legal, if I recall it, because they shouldn't be able to copyright a system, like a rules. You can copyright names and characters and stuff like that, but some reason they got away with copyrighting some rules system where they developed the whole Nemesis project, where you can create villains and you have to fight that. WB copyrighted that, so that's why you don't see the systems you see in both the first and second one in other games, because WB owns the copyright ability to have that kind of system in games, which makes no sense. Like, that's not. I don't know if that's allowed, but somehow they got away with it. But again, that's how main businesses work. I mean, they can do a lot of illegal things as long as they got money. Moving on, we got Mighty Goose. I don't really know much about this. I just saw that you're mighty and you're a goose. That's right up my alley. I don't know anything about it. I don't know if it's like a Mega Man inspired looking game or if it's a Metroidvania. I really don't know. Been wanting to play it because I want to be mighty and I want to be a goose. Here we go. Moving on, this is another Play Asia release. This is Mistover. This I got really, really cheap, like $9 when they were doing like a Black Friday or spend $100, get free shipping. This was the game I just threw in there to get the free shipping, and it was cheap. But it's definitely a game that's heavily inspired by Darkest Dungeon. I haven't really played it. I heard it's pretty buggy it's finished, but you can clearly tell the developers abandoned it pretty early before flushing out the last bits of the game. At least that's what I've read and heard. But glad I have it on my shelf. Now, here's a disappointment, but a very good game, is Mutant Year Zero Road to Eden Deluxe Edition. This is a heavily inspired game from XCOM and stuff like that, but it's actually a really, really good game. I beat the game, I enjoyed the game. The only disappointing part about it is the DLC content is on disc, but you still have to download it. That's the most aggravating thing, is that the game has the key to the DLC content, but the DLC content isn't on the disc. You have to download the free update to unlock the content. So what's more insulting and more aggravating is that means they were at the factory company. They printed out the disc, they did all the coding and everything to put that content on there, but they didn't go the whole step to just put the content on the disc. That's just more insulting if you ask me. That means you were there available to just do it, but they didn't. So for some reason, they just made it a required free update. I don't care if it's a free update. I want it on disc. But in the end, I still beat it. I did enjoy this game. I've been wanting to play it again, actually. But again, it's one of those bittersweetness, because it's a good game. It's a fun game, but it could have been even better if the developers just cared just a little bit more about physical preservation. Moving on, we got Neon Abyss. This is like a side-scroller roguelike, heavily inspired from something like maybe Binding of Isaac or Hades or Enter the Gungeon, where you get a bunch of loot and combinations of abilities. It looks really, really interesting. This is an early version, so they might be outdated in terms of what the version is on disc, but I've been wanting to mess around with it. Looks really, really interesting. I don't know. I've been wanting to play it. Mousenex. This is like a rhythm-based style game. This does include, I don't know if it has absolutely every DLC on disc, but it comes up with a good portion of it. It's got a lot of music and stuff like that you can play on it. Most of it's in Japanese, if not all of it. But it's a very interesting game. I'm glad I have it. It was like one of my earlier versions of ordering limited run physical copies. But glad I have it. Another limited run is The Mummy Demastered. This is a Metroidvania side-scrolling shoot-'em-up kind of style game. It looks really, really interesting. I've been wanting to play it. I got this way, like, when I stopped playing PlayStation 4 games because I was waiting for the PlayStation 5 to come out so I could test all my PS4 games on PS5. So I was holding off playing this. So now I've held it off so long I keep forgetting I even have the game. But I've been wanting to play it. This one is Mr. Driller. I don't know what the... Oh, it's out... Yeah, it's out of its case. But, this is, from my memory, is only available physically in a Japan version. The game does support full English and everything. I don't think there's English voice acting. But, there is, like, a PAL version, if I recall. But the content isn't actually on the disc. It's on a redeem code. So you buy the physical copy, you open it up, and it only has a redeem code on the side and no disc. Which is one of the stupidest things to ever come... Why would you buy that? I hate when people say that because I want to put it on something on my shelf. But you have nothing on your shelf. That makes no sense. You're buying it's more aggravating because you have wasting plastic on your shelf. I don't know. I don't get that philosophy of that. I just wanted something on my shelf. In the end, I'm glad I have this Japan version. If you want a physical copy, from my understanding, this is the only way to get a physical copy of it on disc. There may be a Switch version. I might be getting it wrong on that, but I have the PS1 version, or at least I think I do. I'm pretty sure I had the PS1 version of this, so I picked it up. Now, moving on. Oh gosh, we got Tales of Zestria. I don't know much about it. I do know this is like kind of a black sheep in the Tales series. I see a lot of people saying this is the worst one in the series. Don't have much of an opinion. I haven't really sat there and played any of the Tales games. But, glad to have it on my shelf. I don't have much of an opinion. Moving on, we got Tokusio Zengdu. This is a game it's like a spin-off almost from the Trails games. It's not like in the same universe like the other games I was talking about. But, it's more of a hack and slash style game, but it's got like the same assets and somewhat the same design. And then I picked it up. There is a Switch version coming out here soon, or if not already. I don't know if that comes with DLC stuff on the cartridge or not, but I have this one. I almost bought the collector's edition of this because I like the little figurine you got. You got this cool looking figurine on the collector's edition of it. It got like really cheap at one point too. Moving on, we got Tearaway Unfolded Crafted Edition. Now this was a Vita game that I'm glad it got eventually released physically on PlayStation 4. This is from the creators of Little Big Planet, if you don't know. My mom actually played this on her Vita, and she said she enjoyed it. She liked it a lot. She just didn't really care for the whole touching control stuff where you had to like touch the back of the screen, back of the Vita to make something pop out, or touch the front of it. She said she didn't care for that. It just felt cumbersome and didn't feel... It interrupted the flow of the game, in her opinion. But in the end, I'm glad I had the PS4 version. She's yet to play the PS4 version. She might actually like this one more since it probably doesn't have that, or maybe not. I take that back because the PlayStation 4 has the touchpad on the front, so maybe it does have it. But in the end, I'm happy to buy it. I love these cutesy kind of child-friendly style games. Moving on, we got Trails from Zero, Legend of Heroes. This is another one of those Trails games. I told you it's kind of like a spin-off or within the same universe, if I recall. I picked it up. So like I said, I have them all. That's currently released. I believe I have all of them. Now here's one that's getting kind of expensive, I've noticed. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants of Manhattan. I don't know much about it. I just know that it didn't live up to the expectations that some people had for it. It's a platinum game. What's disappointingly is that this is a Ninja Turtles game. You're going to have 4 Ninja Turtles, but you only can have 4 Ninja Turtles on screen. You have to play online. There's no offline multiplayer, no split screen. At the very minimum, at least 2 players. Then you can at least play 2 players at the same time, at the bare minimum. But I heard some people says it starts off really good, but gets really repetitive and generic later on in the game. And this is from Platinum Games, like that Transformers games I talked about. But again, I've seen this is getting kind of expensive to get a physical copy, so may want to get a copy if you're interested. We got Battle Worlds Chronos. This is like another a grid-based, turn-based kind of strategy game. I've heard mixed things about it, but I picked it up because I pick up any of these. It's from Nordic Games, so maybe that's why it's not good. It's not getting much praise. Maybe it's very buggy. But anytime you tell me something's a strategy game, turn-based game, RTS, card game, Metroidvania, survival horror, I'm generally going to be there day one. So I picked it up. Moving on, we have Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 plus arcade game series, Galaga, Pac-Man, and Dig Dug. This comes with a... I actually really bought this for my parents. They wanted to play some older games on the PlayStation 5, so I was like, you know, I picked this up so they can play it. Disappointingly, maybe it's just me, and we couldn't figure out, Pac-Man, Galaga, and Dig Dug, you can't play 2 players on that. They took the 2-player mode out of the game. That makes no sense to me. You cannot play 2 players on the old games. I don't know about the newer one here. I don't know if you can play 2 players because they weren't interested in that. But they wanted to play Galaga. They borrowed it and they wanted to play Galaga, and they eventually came to me and asked me how do we play 2 players in Galaga. You just used to push a button or activate something, but it's not there. So I couldn't figure it out. Maybe you can let me know. You know how to play 2 players. But that's insanely frustrating that they took out a basic feature that was included with the original game of 2 players offline, and they removed it. I swear. That's if I'm correct on that. Maybe we've overlooked it. Now here's a game that got me into checking out board gaming and checking out some of these subjects, and I recently covered it and I really enjoyed it, and that was Talisman Digital Edition, the 40th Anniversary Collection. This game was a lot of fun. I played it with my brother. We had so many laughs. We had so much good time with it. This game is a heavily game that's just straight up the board game. I mean straight up card pulling, dice rolling, character movement. You play on the board game. There's no special combat animations or anything. You are straight up just playing a digital version of the board game, which is fine. That's great. This does include a mass majority of the DLC on content on the disc. There is still a lot of DLC missing, like hard mode, which is very frustrating that they made that DLC. But I had fun with this. Me and my brother had so much laughs. We had such a good time. We sat down and played the maximum together. We probably put like 8 to 10 hours together. And I mean back to back of just playing, like the next day put 4 hours, next day put 4 hours, next day put like 2, maybe 3 hours. We kept having so much fun. We had so much laughs and everything like that. 100% well worth it in a collection if you're a fan of these kinds of games. This is currently only available in the PAL region. I've been wanting to pick up the Switch version as well. Again, I really like this game. I know I'm well aware that's not for everyone, but that's what got me interested in board game. That's why it's kind of started from that, where I kind of got burnt out on video games. I've gotten tired of games requiring the internet, updates, microtransactions, things just be released beta, games having release now, fix it later kind of mentality. And I just played that, and it had that so much fun for me. So that's, again, I know it's not for everyone. I'm sorry, I'm kind of rambling off, but moving on, we got Ink, A Tale of Love. I like the aesthetic of the game. I know this game isn't very long, nor that very difficult, but I love the aesthetic. It's got this pencil drawn effect going on with it. Looks really, really good. I picked it up from the PAL region. From my understanding, that's the only way this is has had a physical copy. Looks really, really cute. I been wanting to play it. Metalord Origin. It's like a Mega Man style inspired game. You get to pick like 3 characters and you get to choose which one you want to play, and it's like a Mega Man setup. I got it pretty cheap, so I included it on my free shipping, so I picked it up. Looks interesting. Another one, we have Golf Club Wasteland, which is another game I got pretty cheap. I just threw it in the collection of Play Asia games. Not to say that I don't have no interest in it. I didn't buy it just because I had no interest in it, but it looks really good. I do enjoy golf games. I like playing video game golfs. That's why I like Hot Shot Golf or Everybody's Golf. So I picked it up. Looks really, really good. Apparently it's got some high praises towards it. Moving on, we got Lamute, the Mastermoot Chronicles. This is a game I got from Limited Run. There is a standalone physical copy, and what's funny is it's not only just available on Limited Run, there's a mass-produced version as well. I only got the Limited Run version because I got this for like $10, because they gave me like a 50 or 25% discount on Wired Productions. So I got this game like ridiculous cheap. It just took forever to come in the mail. But I have it. I'm sure its game is not that long, and it's like more of like a puzzle game, but I don't know. Moving on, we got Jurassic World Evolution and Jurassic World Evolution 2. I bought both of these used. I came across them at my local game store, so I picked both of them up. I know they're like a resource management, city building kind of theme park craft simulator kind of style game. I just picked them up because I got them both used. Surprisingly, I've noticed that they've held their price range pretty well, surprisingly. But I don't know how well they run just off the disc. Again, it's just in my ballpark of liking like city builders and management games, so I picked them both up. I am not a big fan of Jurassic Park or any of the movies or anything like that. I mean, I remember watching them as a kid. I'm not like super in love or nostalgic with the series, but hey, I picked them up. Why not? Now, this is surprising. This is probably my most favorite open world game that I've recently played, and that is Days Gone. I enjoyed this game so much that like every other open world game I've ever played, I've always thought that, you know, I'm never going to play this game again. I'm done. I'm done. I just want to see that open world again. Days Gone, right as I beat it, I was ready to run through it again. I love the characters, I love the gameplay, I love the story, I love the motorcycle, I love the fact that you have to take care of your motorcycle. It's not unlimited fuel and everything, you have to stop and get gas. I loved all of that. And I want to point out that do not buy Days Gone. Do not buy the first vanilla version of the game. That game is borderline broken. I wouldn't even be recommending this game at all if it was just a base vanilla version. There is an updated physical copy. This is the updated physical copy. I just got a very small print run where they still left it only on PlayStation. If you find Days Gone and you find it where that label right there it says only on PlayStation removed, where it's just black, fully black, blue here, that is a good guarantee you have the reprint version. The reprint version adds much more content to the game. It adds the horde mode, adds higher difficulties, and it fixes a lot of the bugs. Sadly, the 60 frames per second update is not on the disc for the PS5, but this is my most favorite game. In terms of, this is my number top 10 favorite games on PlayStation 4. I've been wanting to play the game again, actually. I love the story. I bought several copies, not only because I was trying to find this reprint version that was rumored that actually turned out to be true. The extra updated version, I actually gave my sister a copy of the updated version. She immediately fell in love with it. I remember when she talked to me, she was like, you know what? It was nice to actually play a video game where people acted like actual people. And that's true. Like, their game has its flaws. It has some of its hiccups. There's some kind of odd pacings and stuff like that. And certain cutscenes are a little on the awkward side. But some of the dialogue and exchange and how people act and how people present themselves is just so much more believable than games like Last of Us or Uncharted. I simply love this game. And I'm going to just go ahead and talk about the story as well. There was a guy who used to watch my channel quite heavily. His name was like CD or DC. I might be getting it wrong. Sorry. He lived in Australia. He's a big fan of this game. And he actually sent me pictures of him actually having like the collector's edition and everything like that. And once I covered about that there was an updated version of the game, he contacted me and asked me if I can send him a copy because he wanted one so badly. And I went ahead and did it. I went ahead and bought another copy at Amazon, and then I sent it to Australia to him for free. I didn't ask any money for any of this. I didn't ask anything for it. I just wanted to help the guy out because he was very passionate, and he's been very... I don't see him much anymore on my channel but I mean, that's okay. Maybe he lost interest, or he doesn't like the channel anymore. That's fine. That's great. He sent me pictures showing he got the copy and everything like that, and I was really happy, and he said he was so happy to see they had all the updates on the disc and everything. It was really cool, and I didn't ask him to send me anything, and then he sent me back some stuff as thank you. Maybe I'll cover a little bit when I get to the next part, but in the end, I don't mean to stay on too much on this game, but this game actually means a lot to me. I really enjoy it. I mean, I really like this game. It's surprisingly, I get it that most people don't seem to like this game very much, which is weird. Again, why is it when anytime I love something, everyone hates it, and when I hate something, everyone loves it? In the end, it doesn't matter. We all have our own tastes and viewpoints in games. So in the end, I highly recommend Days Gone. Just again, look for the one that does not have only on PlayStation. That's the best version to get. So I didn't mean to stay long on that. We got Mega Man 0/ZX Legacy Collection. Again, I'm a Mega Man fan. This comes with several Mega Man 0 games on one disc. It comes with Mega Man 0, Mega Man 02, Mega Man 03, Mega Man 04, Mega Man XZX, and Mega Man ZX Advent. Again, it's a must pick up. It's got several classic games. These are games I never got to play because from my memory, they were mostly only available on handheld. So I gladly immediately picked this up, and it was really a lot of fun to be able to sit down and play them. Haven't played them all, but I still enjoy it. Moving on, we got Mega Man X Legacy Collection plus Mega Man X Legacy Collection 2. This comes with 2 discs, which is odd. It comes with 2 discs of Mega Man X Legacy 1 and Mega Man X Legacy 2. Why they put this on 2 discs is beyond me. There had to have been some weird reason, because it just meant more money in production. But all this could have easily fit on 1 disc. But it comes with several Mega Man games. It comes with Mega Man X, Mega Man X2, Mega Man X3, Mega Man X4. And in the second collection, it comes with Mega Man X5, Mega Man X6, Mega Man X7, and Mega Man X8. A lot of Mega Mans. Again, I'm a Mega Man fan, so this is a must pick up if you are too. Moving on, we have Disco Elysium, the final cut. This is like a detective style game where it's got multiple endings, and depending on the choices you make, affects the ending of the game. I even believe they make fun of you if you try to play the game authentically. Like, you actually try to be a good detective. Like, that's not what they want you to do. They want you to do the weird stuff. They want you to be like make the bad decisions and stuff like that. Like, to see what the outcomes is. I like how the developers expected that. It's like, well, people don't want to. They're gonna be playing this. They're going to be picking the weird decisions, not the actual being an actual detective. That's boring. In the end, I appreciate that. It's a neat game. I haven't really sat down fully to sit down and play it, but I'm glad I have it on my shelf. Again, it's like a point-and-click kind of style game. I don't even know if there's any combat in the game. I don't know if there is. Moving on, we got Dirt Rally. Again, I'm a big fan of rally racing games. Why I really like this one, this has randomly generated levels, if I recall, which was really fun. It has its downsides and plus sides. I can see why a lot of people may not like it, because it doesn't have that uniqueness in tracks. And you can't, like, train yourself on a particular track, because every time it randomly generates a new level. But, again, I'm happy to have it on my shelf. Moving on, we got Doom 64. This is the Nintendo 64 Doom game, which I'm glad to have the PS4 version. Now, thankfully, this does not have that bug I talked about before in that Doom collection. When you pop this game in the first time offline with an Universe account, it pops up once letting you know, hey, you're not connected to the internet. Exit out of it, and it never pops up again as long as you keep playing it. Now, if you close out the game and restart the game back up, it'll pop up once again at the main menu, but then you click out and it never pops up again to the rest of the time you play the game. Again, I'm really happy. It was my first time ever sitting down and play Doom 64. I love boomer shooters, so this is right up my alley, and I highly recommend it if you can get a copy. I'm just so disappointed that these Doom collections, like Doom 64 and stuff like that, are only available on limited run. They should have been widely available, so that way anybody can be able to get a collection of that amazing good games. The last one to this video is Momodora Reverie Under the Moonlight. This is that game I was talking about earlier called Memory or something like that. I can't forget the call of it. But this is the previous game that I was talking about that the developer made. And the other one was a sequel, Minoria. That was it, Minoria. Good. It's a good Metrovania. It's got some hidden missions down here. It's not the greatest. It's not the worst. But it's good. It's got some good music. It's good environment and stuff like that. Highly recommend it. Another limited run physical release. And it's a Metrovania, so obviously I'm going to pick it up. So I'm really happy about it. The only thing is they sent these stickers. These stickers were too big to fit in the case. I know it might be blasphemy, but I actually cut the stickers a little bit so I could just slide it in there. Maybe blasphemy to do that, but I want to be able to fit it in the box without the stickers getting damaged. So, again, it's the last one of the stack. We have probably one more video. I'm going to go through one more full, close to 60 games, and then I'm going to be covering my collector boxes, hopefully within that same video, so that way I don't make 2 small videos. We're going to just wrap it up in one more video. So, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. Enjoy all these games I've been covering. And I enjoy all these games and having them on my shelf. Even ones I'm not a big fan of, I'm still happy to have them on my shelf. So, like always, thank you for sitting down with this long video. Sorry this went on for a lot longer than usual, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next part. Bye-bye!